Hi guys, and welcome back. So today's video is going to be about a question that I've been currently asked a lot, and that is why? Why are you writing your book? Are you doing all these videos? And what is your reasoning behind all of it? And so today I'm going to answer that question. So for a long time, I've kind of known for many years that I was supposed to and I was destined to write a book. Now, it hasn't been the easiest process, so I actually started writing my book, I want to say, back in 2013, officially, I guess. I also had been writing some, little things here and there. I actually have from when I was like, I want to say 10. I have a little notebook or notepad that I had actually started writing even back then. And actually the title of the story was, I think, Drugs Do Affect Your Children. And so I actually do have that. Some of that stuff is actually in my book now, Pieces of Me. But I said that to say this. So I started writing it and it was kind of hard. It wasn't the easiest process, to do, because unfortunately in my short life, I've been through a lot. Emotionally, physically, it's just been a lot. And so having to go back to those moments and those places in my life, it's kind of like opening a Band-Aid or, a wound that you just cover it up with a Band-Aid, and then you got to go back in and you got to relive kind of those things. And it hadn't been easy. So for the longest time, obviously we're in 2020. Obviously I started this a little bit in 2019, and, a lot of things have happened, within 2019, as you guys also have known as part of my story. So I started writing it, and as I did, I actually had my pastor ask me to come and speak. And I went and spoke to some women, and as I did, I realized the impact from that day and that moment on after speaking to those women. I had women come up to me and thank me for telling my story, and women in tears, and just different people wanting me to pray for them and asking me, when is your book coming out? I want to know the rest of your story. There's all kinds of things that they said to me. And for me, that was kind of the moment where I realized, okay, maybe I do need to I'm using the wrong word, hunker down or whatever. And really start to get focused on writing this book after I realized the significance of it. I always kind of knew my story had significance, but really just going through it wasn't and hasn't been always the easiest thing. Even now through this process, sometimes I've just had to stop and just take a deep breath, because it's just hard to do that. Or I've just had to stop and just bawl my eyes out. It's just kind of what's the process has been, but also I feel like it's been a process of healing for me. But the most exciting thing for me about all of this, and the biggest reason why I'm doing it, is to help bring change and hope to other people. When I started doing this, I didn't know, how many people would reach, or what would come out of it or any of that. I just knew that I was meant to do it and that my story had significance. And then as I begin to do research about, different kinds of content that my story has, I realized that there's not a lot of stories like mine out there. There are some, don't get me wrong, and everybody has a different story, but there is a significance about my story, and that is something that I shared back in my introduction video. And it's that, you hear the story very often on the side of the addict, and when they recover and how that was for them, and which the people that have recovered, are recovering addicts. I know some personally that they have amazing stories, but it's very rare that you hear the story of the child's perspective of living with an addict and how that was. I fortunately have never touched a drug because honestly, I got scared. I didn't want to. I had no desire because I saw what, drugs did to my family and what it did to my life. And I was just like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And then, that's the kind of perspective I have. You have the other perspective where you kind of where they kind of grew up with it and that's all they know, so that's what they go to too, which also can happen, and it's unfortunate. So my story, there is a significance there. And because of that significance, I wanted to share it in a book form. And then I said to myself, well, how do I get, people interested in wanting to buy my book and promote it a bit? And so I decided to come on YouTube. I had no idea that I was going to do, multiple videos, and that even, it's just been a process, and everything's kind of been just unfolding. And I just really want to just help bring change and hope and restoration to as many people that I possibly can. And then bring awareness to different things that I've realized through this process that aren't talked about. I mean, there's a lot of different topics in my story that are going to be talked about, that aren't the easiest subjects, I'm going to be talking about suicide. I'm going to be talking about depression. I'm going to be talking about, taking care of someone with cancer. I'm going to be talking about, just different topics that I'm going to be talking about child abuse. And all these different topics are not something you just type in and you go, oh, well, I'm going to look at that. No, not necessarily. But on the other side of that, it's not just the sad part that I'm going to share. I'm going to share the amazing hope that I feel that God has brought to me in my life, and how he has changed so many things for me. And he, to me, in my personal opinion, I feel that he's the only reason why I've gone through and gotten through on the other side of all the things at such a young age, what I've gotten through. And I give him all the credit for it, because I don't know what I'd do, if I hadn't, found, God that I did back when I was 17 years old. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying, oh, from when I was 17 years old, I didn't struggle. No, I still had, rough patches, because it is a process. Growing and changing and healing is all a process. But if you allow God to do it, I fully know I am living proof that it can be done. And so I just hope that, this helps inspire someone. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I don't do everything right, but I do have a story that I believe is worth sharing, and I believe that the world needs to hear. And, there will be so many topics that I'll be touching on, and I just pray that I will bring hope and help to those who need it. And so and with that being said, I just want to thank you guys all for listening. And if you would love to see more videos from me, please subscribe at the bottom, and also hit the bell for notifications when I get new videos. And please, guys, if you have a video that you'd like me to do, or you have a topic that you'd like to talk about, or just any questions, feel free to comment on the bottom. Thank you so much for watching.